If you are going from here to Kaduna, you know, the roads are extremely very bad. Vehicles are falling into terrible ditches, trailers, just from here to Kaduna. And that road has been given close to 6-7 years ago. It has not been fixed up till now. When you are heading to Kano from Kaduna to Zaria, you know, they have done largely about 70%. So it's not something that they should be boastful about. They should be remorseful. They should be apologetic to Nigerians.
Yeah, isn't that what the president is doing?
In this area, yes, the president should do that. Now, the area of security is the worst that you can think of. I heard the president saying that he has closed the border, you know, to stop importation of rice and so on and so forth.
That was in 2019.
Now, you close the border, and then the cost of fertilizer was extremely very high, and you are directing citizens to go back to the farm. One fertilizer is costing about 25,000 naira. How do you expect an average farmer to have access to fertilizer and farm his own farm that he can feed his family and perhaps sell some for his domestic needs? It's practically impossible. And then, of course, the irony of it is that the crime and criminality, the banditry and what have it, have taken over people's farm. You know, have taken away people's foodstuff in their communities. That what led to the escalation of this insecurity you have, and that what led to the hunger, that what led to the frustration we are witnessing today. So in all areas, I can tell you from the record available, yes, I agreed he have bought soft and hardware for the security agencies, for the military, for the Air Force and the Navy. I think police are the worst hit of it. They have not gotten anything really much. But given the quantum of resources that was spent in the purchase of military or security softwares, what we have gotten is really nothing to celebrate. And then if you look at the number of lives that we have lost or record under the decks of this president, Nigeria have never gone through that. If you look at the number of orphans we have produced, children that have lost their parents, fathers and mothers, they are roaming about. Government is not taking care of them. You know, is a major problem that the incoming government is going to inherit. I have no doubt that it's going to inherit a very precarious situation, and he needs more than a miracle to take off from the ground.
If you take a look at from what you said, you repose some kind of confidence in the president-elect, but I've also heard people say that they're a bit skeptical because the Bola Tinubu of today was not the Bola Tinubu of 1999 in terms of even physically, in terms of age, and in terms of how far we have come. What is your school of thought about that? Some people are saying that, okay, if it was Bola Tinubu like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you know, well, I would have some kind of hope.
Or do we compare him with a wine now? Because wine matures with age.
With age.
And gets better with age.
Yeah. So, but you understand what I mean? For this kind of sentiments, what's your thoughts about that?
But if you also study him, you know that he have not been affected tremendously because of the age. He's very sound, he's very current about the situation of things in the country. He does have some statistics. If you analyze those statistics, you know that it has a very strong content in it. But above all, he's not going there to conduct a hard job. He's going there to pretend over policies and programs that will drive the government.
You think he's not going there for a hard job? And someone told me on Monday...
Maybe physical job is what...
physical job. I'm not...
So yeah, but a lot of mental work here, because it will even take him a lot of mental alertness.
I agree with the mental work.
To even put together his team, for example, put the square peg in the square hole and round peg in a round hole, to be able to even articulate the problems that we have now.
That is the fundamental challenge.
A lot of people are saying that this is the worst year to be president.
That is the fundamental challenge.
Yes.
Getting the best
hands
is the biggest challenge he's going to have, because some of the people around him are very ferocious, are very desperate, you know, and they want to go in at all costs. And anything short of that, they are determined to create problem for him. Now, the other issue is that whether he still have that will, you know, to take tough decisions. Anybody who's going to be a president of Nigeria today must have a very strong deterrence, you know, to bring some level of stability and sanity and the rule of law. Now,
did he show a bit of that by the way he even became the candidate of his party?
Well, he have demonstrated that capacity to fight and challenge the establishment. That's what I'm saying. So you can see a symbol of energy that have been exhibited by him, even at the point when he lost hope that the party have gang up against him. You know, and then he launched himself back very ferociously, and then he got it through. In fact, at the convention where he wasn't the favorite candidate of the government, but he scaled through. So he still have that determination, he still have that commitment. But that is outside the formation of government. He was the governor of Lagos. Now he's going to be the president of Nigeria. If I were him, I would go outside the box, outside the traditional process of recruitment of this government. Go off the course completely. Go and show for quality people. Nigeria have surplus of intelligent people all over the country, and you can get them to do the job. You know, you have to detach politics of your party right now and go for quality of individuals that will push a lot of things from where they are right now, because anything short of doing a radical change from the security perspective, from the security architecture, then the problem will continue from there, and that will stampede whatever he's going to do. Don't forget the fact that the cases are in the court, and that legitimacy is being questioned up to now. So his takeoff will really define whether he will consolidate his legitimacy or it will continue to go down.
Do you think that President Buhari's 8 years administration has not also done well in terms of good PR for Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as he will assume on Monday, because it's a transition from the same party to another? And the feeling, of course, even before the elections or even during the campaigns, is that APC has really brought us to where we are right now. Talking about security, 3 pillars actually where this current president campaigned on: security, economy, and anti-corruption. If you're taking a look at security, you mentioned it earlier, we have now more orphans. A lot of people are more internally displaced. We have a lot of people more malnourished, even in this administration. We have more children going hungry. We have a lot of children out of school than any other administration. Talking about the economy, unemployment about 33%. Inflation was at 9% when President Buhari was coming in. Today is 22.2%. Poverty rate, multidimensional poverty, 133 million people are poor. I can go on and on. Our FX rate, Naira, of course, was 197 when President Buhari was coming in. Today, the official window is 463. Yesterday, I was told, I think, about 760 or 770. The Naira is depreciating, yes, at a parallel market. So okay, thank you guys for that. So you can see those numbers. Buhari's transition
from Buhari to Tinubu in figures. And in numbers.
Yes. So, and I always tell people that don't think that these are just numbers. These numbers represent people. These numbers represent the feelings. These numbers represent how much is in our pocket. These numbers represent how many poor people there are. So what I'm trying to ask in essence is that this administration is going to hand over a bag of so many challenges to the incoming president. Is it making it hard?
Yeah,
is it making it hard in terms of even good PR that Nigerians don't want to even have the patience to even listen?
And if we were to put all of these figures that we are seeing in words, it will simply mean from Buhari to Tinubu, may your road be rough. That's what it simply means.
Exactly.
May your road be rough.
Exactly. And also, even in 2015, this president was like, okay, I'm going to come in and do all of this. But it seems that what Nigerians ordered in 2015 is not what they are getting now in 2023.
Absolutely.
As Buhari is going.
But all I'm saying is that if you look at the transition and the packaging, you know that the handing over is a very poisonous baggages.
Poison chalice.
Yes, and there's no two ways. And then when you are handing over a system that is very weak, the structure that is weak, the foundation that is very weak, you have to reorganize yourself in the way that you will work 24 hours to stabilize it. Like you said, the economy is in tatters. If you look at the way and the manner, even the central bank have taken this economy to its knees. If I am the incoming president, I will do a thorough investigation into that. The way the dollar was profiteered and racketeered in the history of Nigeria, it has never happened before. And then you also had a system that was so compounded close to election, where public funds were hijacked. You know, people have no access to even money to feed themselves, to clothe themselves. In Abuja here, people sleep at the ATM. You move around 3 a.m., you see people queuing, fighting over their own right, their own resources. It has never happened in the history of Nigeria. And this is not the first time we are changing currency. Even during Obasanjo's regime, currencies were changed. But we have never had this kind of thing. It's a failure of government, lack of capacity to drive a government will create a lot of economic crisis for the nation and political crisis as well. And then if you look at the political angle of it, we never had it so bad like this. Virtually every process was compromised. There was no credibility. There was no sense of decency. And the corruption level is at its roof. There's nothing you can do about it. And
but the EFCC will disagree with you on that. Sorry.
Well, they are free to disagree.
Because if you're taking a look at the last data that I have, in terms of convictions, over 8,000, which I think is more than
I wish they can also mention the number of people they have not convicted that are under investigation.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have the number of people you have convicted.
When the EFCC chairman dead was removed,
yes,
we were told it was because of corruption.
Yes.
Have we heard anything about that case since it was removed?
Is there?
And nothing has happened.
And
even though the Justice Sayo Salami committee, presidential committee that was set up that time, recommended so many things, don't also forget that while he was being interdicted, the same Magu also made counter allegations against the outgoing Minister of Justice.
Absolutely.
Monumental allegations of corruption and all of that. Has anybody told us whether the Attorney General was investigated or not?
Well, the chairman of EFCC is trying his best. But if you look at of recent, there are heavy allegations also flying around him by serving governors, making allegations.
Matawale
and others. Those allegations are very, very strong. It's left for the EFCC to purge itself. Because once you take away the credibility of EFCC completely, then we're in for trouble. But for me, we are not lacking capacity to investigate issues. If you strengthen the Department of Investigation in the Nigerian police force, they have very experienced people, very capable hands, and some in the Department of State Security Services, they can do a very marvelous job. But creating EFCC, and the impression of the EFCC, the ICPC, if you look at where we are today and the level of corruption from the period it was created to where we are now, the corruption have multiplied. You know, so they have not created any deterrence. What we thought is that the deterrence would be created. We haven't seen any deterrence. People are getting more bolder, you know, to commit crime because they believe that at the end of the day, they will find their way out of the whole thing.
Do you think that may get better as we have a new president? We'll have a new president on Monday. Do you think, because I also remember that when President Buhari was coming in, it seems the body language now that is very popular within the lexicon, a lot of people, even the big men, the elites were trying to, you know, people were shuddering that, they don't know how.
It was called Basugudu, Basugudu, Sugudu. Alaji will know what it means.
You understand what I mean? As in, we don't know. It's like President Buhari will lock everybody up. So everybody
that's what Basugudu
at that time. But after some time, everybody just
was resist to run away.
Wait,
now.
That's the